Well, I want to say a few words about the old Rhino Rubio, the establishment clown. Um, why do I say that? Is that a little harsh? That's how I feel, and I'll tell you why. Marco Rubio, this is a guy that sounds very articulate to many. This is a guy who seems to have a grasp on a lot of issues, especially foreign policy. But let me tell you why there's no way, and as a conservative, if he gets the nomination, I will sit my ass at home, and I will tell you why. This guy's biggest claim to fame while in the Senate was the Gang of Eight amnesty bill. Yes, it was an amnesty bill, and it was a train wreck, and it should have been defeated like it was. This is such a naive attempt at immigration reform. It was amnesty. It was a fool's amnesty. It was so ridiculous that if you were part of the MS-13 Mexican gang, all you'd have to do is just go in front of a judge and say, "I'm no longer a member of MS-13," and you could be granted amnesty. Put on that pathway. That's how stupid that bill was. I mean, that's as dumb as those people don't just give up their gang affiliation like that. That's like saying ISIS is just going to be like, "I'm no longer a member of ISIS." Okay? But I'm going to try to stay composed here because I tell you, Marco Rubio makes my blood boil. Have you noticed the guy talks so fast? It's like I got my rehearsed lines and I better get them out before I forget them. And when this guy talks about border security, I'm all for border security. I've been for border security since Ronald Reagan granted amnesty and cut a deal with the Democrats in '86. You know what we've had? Nothing. We've got all the amnesty. We got stuck with that. We got no border security. So, folks, let me say this before I talk about Rubio. 30 years ago, Ronald Reagan granted amnesty. Okay? And we've got no border security. We've had 2 Republican presidents, 2 Democrat presidents, and a whole bunch of new Congresses, and none of them secured the border. Don't believe them. They're lying to you. They're not to be trusted. You and I both know that Washington really sucks at their job. How do you think they got us, $18 trillion in debt and can't balance a budget? Seriously. Now, Rubio gets up there, and he's going to secure the border. I'm going to be a border hawk. I'm a teleprompter tough guy. Well, I'm Rhino Rubio. I'm going to put landmines and alligators in the Rio Grande, throw in some piranha and put in big old fences, and we'll have helicopters and we'll have trained snakes to attack anyone that might try to sneak through. Okay, now, yes, that's sarcastic, but he talks about how tough he's going to be on border security. Here's what he doesn't tell you. He's not going to be president for life. And he'll say, "I'm going to be tough on the border, but we have to do a pathway to citizenship, which is amnesty." But again, he's not going to be president for life. I mean, he gets 4 years, maybe 8. And what happens when you get another open borders president? Like Barack Obama has been. Well, guess what, folks? That's why Marco Rubio is hoping that you don't pay attention to what's happened the last 30 years. Because if you were to ask him if any of these moderators would actually ask a tough question of these people, they might actually get to that answer and say, Senator Rubio, if you were president and you secured the border and you got your pathway to citizenship, how can you assure the American people that when you're no longer president, they won't get stuck with amnesty and have no more border security? But he can't guarantee that. He's lying to you if he tries. Don't trust him. Now, we've already covered his Gang of Eight bill, his amnesty bill. Okay? Now, there's another little thing called the H-1B visa. What's an H-1B visa? Well, H-1B visas, in short, is if a company has a particular tech sector job that they cannot find a qualified legal resident to fill, that they can apply for a visa, a waiver, and bring in a foreign worker to fill that job. Now, Marco Rubio wants to massively expand that program, I think triple it. Meanwhile, you see companies like Disney that are bringing in H-1B visa folks from outside the country. And it's not that they can't find workers to fill this job. They're actually going to replace American workers with these foreigners. And worse, they're making the American worker train their replacement. And if they don't, they can lose their severance and not be given a letter of recommendation. That's how bad it is. Okay? So Marco Rubio wants to have cheap unskilled labor come in, and he wants to have cheaper tech sector tech sector labor come in. Now you got to ask yourself, why is this? Well, go look at who's backing Marco Rubio. Billionaires, people. Billionaires. They're not happy being billionaires. They want to make more billions. Okay? At the expense of the American worker. Now you know why Marco Rubio loves amnesty. Now you know why Marco Rubio wants to massively expand H-1B visa programs. Meanwhile, it's even a little bit more sinister than that. All our kids go to college and they get these degrees in the tech sector. Well, Marco Rubio is going to stick with it because now these kids can't get jobs. Because, well, one, the economy sucks right now, but then they're going to be threatened with having foreign labor come in and replace them or do the job cheaper. And they're saddled with massive student loans. These tech sector people coming from overseas, they probably don't have near the student loans that our students have. Well, and you got to ask yourself, why do our kids have such student loans? Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I did another video on that. You got to go look that one up. Marco Rubio is a Trojan horse. He is the death nail to the Republican Party. And I got to tell you, I'm a conservative. The Republican Party just happened to kind of be the vessel to promote my conservative ideology, but they really don't anymore. Even though you look at the platforms of Democrats and Republicans, and they look different, it seems like whenever they get into office, they really, they're really not that much different the way they do their politics. And it seems like the only thing they're bitching about is who gets to be the bus driver when a thing goes over the cliff. You know what I'm saying? So, and that brings me to another thing. Marco Rubio professes to be a conservative. As a conservative myself, I have core principles that I've held pretty much my adult thinking life. And they are my core principles. You don't have to agree with me on my principles, but at least you know where I stand. But Marco Rubio claims to be this conservative. How serious of a conservative are you, and how close do you hold those core principles if you want to grant citizenship to a massive group of people that have been proven for at least the last 30 years to never vote for your ideology, never support conservative principles by and large? I mean, because look at all the Republican presidents, even including Reagan. None of them got a majority of the Hispanic vote. So how can Marco Rubio say that he's a conservative when he wants to allow a massive group of people who broke our laws coming here to now be given citizenship? And then when they vote, they're not going to vote for things that he believes in. I mean, Ronald Reagan showed us that this is not the formula, that they are not to be trusted. Congress and the executive branch, they're not very good at their jobs. They're not trustworthy up there. And so when you're thinking about Rino Rubio, the establishment clown, think twice. Geez, I think I'd almost rather see Donald Trump as president. I mean, and I'll tell you right now, you know who I support? Ted Cruz. That's where I'm at. I like Carly Fiorina a lot, except she believes in the myth of global warming, and she wants to grant amnesty to she supports the DREAM Act. I just can't do that. I just can't. So, I mean, Ted Cruz is close to, a conservative, torchbearer as I think we're going to get. So, I hope you look into some of this stuff, because I'll tell you, Marco Rubio, look, I know he sounds gifted and he looks good on TV and he gives slick speeches and he seems to come across as very, intelligent and well-informed. But you just, again, ask yourself, amnesty for low-skilled wages, for low-skilled labor, and H-1B visas. You know what H-1B visas are also? That's the GOP. That's the Republican version of amnesty. So you got the Democrats, getting us on. They want the cheap illegal labor to be legalized. And you got the GOP wanting all this, cheap tech sector labor. The poor Americans just getting hammered. And I'll tell you, Marco Rubio, he wants both. So folks, don't trust him. Look for another candidate. Anyone, and I'll tell you what, anyone who believes in a pathway to citizenship for people who have violated our sovereignty, they are foolish or naive. And that is not a quality you want in someone who's going to sit in that Oval Office. That's what we have now, is foolish and naive. Okay? So folks, think long and hard before you pick a candidate that believes in amnesty, because it's either going to cost you, your children, or your grandchildren. One way or another, we're going to pay for it. So anyway, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I think I might just do a video on the myth of man-made global warming. Basic high school science at its best. Hey, thanks again.